Itu maksud Bapak. Kenapa dia baru ganggu saya sekarang? Saya mau dia diusir.
At the beginning of the movie, a teacher informs the students that their field trip is over. However, she notices that one student named Lita Sari is missing from the group. Meanwhile, Lita Sari is swinging nearby and engaged in conversation with someone unseen. 3 girls from her class approach and ask her who she is talking to because they can't see anyone behind her. They start teasing her, claiming that she always talks to herself. However, just then one of the girls starts choking. But it turns out the girl is only pretending. Then they notice that the swing is swinging on its own. Curious, one of the girls approaches to check it, but she suddenly feels severe pain in her arm, and to their horror, they discover bite marks on her arm. Just then, their school bus arrives, and they quickly depart from the scene, shaken by the eerie encounter. As they ride away on the bus, Lita turns back and gazes toward the swing, but sees no one there. However, as they leave, we see a girl swinging alone on the empty swing. Years later, we see a woman named Sari in a mental hospital, where a nurse informs the doctor Shinta that every night, Sari feels like she is being haunted by a vicious ghost. The ghost doesn't just haunt her, but hurts and tortures her as well. Shinta says she doesn't believe in ghosts, but seeing Sari from there and observing her gestures and expressions, she senses a bleak and dark aura, and she thinks this has something to do with the other realm. Meanwhile, Lita's husband Rama informs her that Dr. Paul will be returning from Singapore tomorrow, so she can finally have her birthmark removed. She asks if it's safe to undergo laser treatment while she is this far along in her pregnancy, to which he reassures her, saying the doctor confirmed it's perfectly safe. Later that night, Lita catches sight of a ghost in the mirror that remains visible only within the mirror's reflection. Frightened, Lita cautiously approaches it, but the ghost fades away. Suddenly, it reappears in the mirror beside her bed, and then the closet door swings open. At that moment, Rama arrives, and she tells him that she saw a frightening woman through the mirror, but when she checked, the woman was no longer there. However, Rama dismisses it, suggesting that she might be hungry and therefore experiencing hallucinations. On the other hand, while making her rounds, the nurse hears Sari crying in her room. Intrigued, she opens the door to check and discovers Sari pleading for forgiveness from someone unseen. The nurse enters, approaches Sari to comfort her, and encourages her to rest. As she helps Sari lie down on the bed and tucks her in, a ghostly figure appears behind the nurse, unbeknownst to her. The scene shifts, and we observe that Lita has undergone scar removal surgery. She confides in Rama, expressing her confusion about the origin of the scar on her back. Lita shares that her mother concealed many secrets from her, until she finally decided to leave her. That night, Lita enters the bathroom to brush her teeth, but as she leans over to rinse, her reflection remains in the mirror. She glances back at the mirror and notices her reflection behaving strangely. Assuming it's another hallucination, Lita washes her eyes and looks back at the mirror, only to be confronted by the haunting presence of the ghost. Hearing her scream, Rama rushes to check on her. Lita explains to him that her reflection in the mirror transformed into the woman she had seen the previous day, and that the woman attacked her, as if she is mad at her. However, Rama dismisses it once more, attributing it to a hallucination. Later, while Lita is sleeping, the entity suddenly grabs her hand. Startled, Lita wakes up and checks under the bed in fear, and as she does, she notices the door of her room opening on its own. Perplexed, when she steps out to investigate, suddenly the record on the gramophone begins to play on its own. Lita attempts to reach for the remote to turn it off, but it falls from the table. As she bends down to retrieve it, to her horror, she sees someone on the other side levitating in the air. Hearing her scream, Rama rushes out, but upon arrival, finds no one there. However, he discovers Lita hiding behind a sofa. She tells him that the woman she mentioned earlier is there and very frightening, and that she was on the verge of grabbing her. Just then, her water breaks, so Rama rushes her to the hospital. But there too, Lita catches sight of the ghost, which frightens her deeply. She confides in Rama about it, but he is unable to see anyone there. Eventually, after some time, Lita successfully gives birth to their child. The doctor reassures Rama that the baby is healthy and his wife is also fine, and she will awaken in about half an hour. Meanwhile, while bathing Sari, the nurse inquires who she talks to every night. Sari responds that she talks to her daughter and that she visits her often. However, when the nurse mentions that before Sari came to the hospital, she lived alone and the nurse had never seen her daughter, Sari becomes angry. On the other hand, when Lita and Rama return home with their baby Putri, he informs Lita that while she was at the hospital, he sets up a camera in Putri's room so that Lita can hear her cry. Lita expresses that she is still frightened and insists that she wasn't hallucinating the scary woman. Rama reassures her and suggests that she relax while he promises to try to come home early from work. Later that night, Lita falls asleep while waiting for Rama, but she is awakened by Putri's cries. She checks her phone and is horrified to see the scary woman holding her daughter in her lap. Terrified, she rushes to her daughter's room, only to find it empty. With Putri safely in her crib, Lita picks up Putri in her arms to soothe her. But suddenly the room fills with a frightening sound, as if someone is crying. Terrified, Lita hastily flees the room and calls Rama, informing him that the woman is there and urging him to come home quickly. She then checks her phone and sees Putri in her room, and in her arms is a demonic child, whom she throws down. The ghostly lady then materializes in front of Lita and attempts to attack her, but Lita quickly rushes to Putri's room and locks the door. The ghost starts banging on the door, causing Lita to seek refuge behind a chair. Just then, Rama and their maid enter the room, and when Rama tries to calm Lita down, she insists that she was haunted by a baby ghost, and that the woman was here again. The next day, while on his way to work, Rama is haunted and attacked by the ghost woman, which nearly causes him to have an accident. That night, Sari wakes up and levitates in the air, while an unseen force begins to torture her. Hearing her distress, the nurse rushes to her room and switches on the light, causing Sari to fall back onto the bed. The next day, a man visits Rama's house, and Rama informs Lita that he requested their maid Aina to invite Adam over. Aina further explains that Adam is a psychic who possesses an understanding of the supernatural world. Adam checks the house and immediately senses a presence there, and when Rama asks him what's wrong, Adam explains that the presence is the Kodam or Koran, who is always with Lita. He explains that every human has a Koran or Kodan, and they can be either good or evil, depending on the individual's actions. Lita asks why the ghost is haunting her now, to which he urges her to be quiet and informs her that she has angered it. Adam then enters Putri's room, where he touches the baby and informs them that the poor baby was born at a bad time, but the baby is not the trigger. The trigger is Lita. He asks her what changes she has made recently, to which she tells him about her birthmark removal surgery. Adam then asks them if they know the story behind that birthmark, to which Lita responds with a no. Adam advises them that it would be better for them to find out about it soon and put an end to this problem. He explains that the entity is very strong and furious because Lita got rid of that birthmark, and she will do whatever it takes to hurt them. He suggests that they cover all the mirrors in the house for now, as the entity likes to haunt them using mirrors as a medium. The next day, they visit Adam, who informs them that Lita is pregnant with 2 babies. He explains that so far, her Kodam has been protecting her, but she has also been intimate with her husband, resulting in the pregnancy. Adam suggests that she not give birth to that baby, because it will haunt her forever, especially her daughter. After this, he places 3 glasses in front of them and asks Lita to drink them. As Lita consumes the liquids, her stomach begins to ache, and a demonic fetus emerges. Adam swiftly destroys it and seals it in a jar. He explains to them that this is the fetus that would later haunt their child's life. Adam warns that if the mother finds out, she will be very angry, so they must finish this before she arrives. He also instructs them to uncover the truth about the birthmark on Lita's back, or they will never understand what the Kodam want. They then visit Lita's mother's house, only to find it locked and in a deserted condition. Rama breaks open the door, and as they enter the house, a flashback reveals that Lita's mother had entered into a contract marriage with a man for money, a decision that Lita strongly opposed. Her mother slaps her and tells her that if she dislikes her ways, she may leave the house. They then visit the head of the village, who informs them that the house has been empty for ages. Sari used to live there previously, but she eventually went mad and became a danger to people. Consequently, one of the villagers reported her condition to the mental institution. Meanwhile, Adam senses the presence of the unseen force in his house. Suddenly, the presence breaks all the jars kept in the house and grabs Adam by the throat, lifting him into the air, and tragically, he dies as his face and head are severed by the fan. The next day, they both visit the mental institution to see Lita's mother, where Dr. Shinta tells Lita that when her mother was admitted here, the villagers told them that she often sees ghosts. As per their records, Sari has been married 4 times and left by her daughter. After this, when Shinta takes Lita to meet Sari gets scared after seeing her and starts screaming. Mistaking her for Nina, she apologizes for separating the two of them and says that she was wrong. Rama concludes that the scar on Lita's back isn't a birthmark. Instead, it suggests that she and Nina might have been conjoined twins, and the scar was essentially a seal connecting Lita to her twin. When the scar was removed, it allowed her twin to become an independent entity, freeing her from Lita. Just then, Lita hears Putri crying over the phone. Rama gets up to call their maid and asks her why Putri is crying, but Lita shows him footage of Nina holding Putri in her arms. Meanwhile, Iana notices that a cover has been removed from one of the mirrors. She covers it again, but as she starts to leave, she senses something eerie. Turning around, she sees that the ghost has emerged from the mirror. Frightened by the sight, Iana watches that the ghost looks exactly like Lita, and before she can understand anything, Nina suddenly attacks her, ultimately killing her. On the other hand, the nurse informs the doctor that Sari is missing. When Lita and Rama return home, they discover Iana's lifeless body on the floor. And when Lita rushes in to check on Putri, she finds her mother there, cradling Putri in her arms. Lita is overjoyed to see her mother, but Sari hands her a photo and apologizes, revealing that her twin's name is Nina. She blames herself, saying she couldn't choose between the two of them because they shared one heart. Suddenly, Sari becomes possessed by Nina, and when she tries to hurt Lita, Rama intervenes and strikes her with an object. However, as they attempt to escape, the door slams shut, trapping them inside. During the struggle, the possessed Sari comes out and attacks Rama, accusing him of erasing the scar that marked her birth into this world. She also blames Lita, claiming it's her fault because she killed the baby that was in her womb. She then hurls Rama aside, resulting in his death. Nina then informs Lita that she wants her heart and she has to kill the baby. Lita attempts to flee, but finds all the exits locked. And when Nina confronts her, Lita implores her to stop, insisting that it isn't their fault. She explains that she never knew about the scar and wasn't even aware they were twins. Nina accuses Lita of killing her baby and declares that she will do the same to Lita's baby, so she can feel her pain. In a desperate attempt to save her baby and her mother, Lita offers to trade their hearts for her baby's life. She pleads with Nina not to harm their mother and her baby. Lita then stabs herself with a knife on her heart, and as she does, both Nina and Lita collapse. Next, we see Lita in a hospital, where a doctor hands Putri over to her, stating that Lita has been recovering well after the surgery. After the doctor leaves, it is revealed that she is not Lita but Nina, and the movie ends there. Thanks for facing the frights with us. If you survived this video, drop a like, summon that subscribe button, and brace yourself for more horror. Until next time, stay spooked.